Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Matt's Movie Reviews live show. This is episode number 3. Thank you very much, anyone who's out there listening right now. If you have anything to say in the comments, any questions or anything that I'm going to talk about tonight, please feel free to drop a comment wherever you are on Facebook, on YouTube as well. Just going to check over here to make sure that everything's working on YouTube. Yep. And then, let's have a look here. And what about Facebook? What's happening here? Am I live? I am. Excellent. So, look, I was almost this close to not doing this show tonight. So, for this past week, I've been battling COVID. So, I've had 2 vaccinations and a booster shot. Still got COVID anyway. Got it from my kids. That's when you're a parent. Parents out there know that usually most of the time when you get sick, it's because you get it from your kids. They get it from school and they bring it home, and you get all sorts of colds and flus and viruses, etc. This time it just happened to be COVID. Mostly okay. It's just that I got a bit of a cough, as you can hear right there. So my throat is a bit rusty. Thankfully, my wife made me a nice tea with honey here. You can check out. It's in my heat cup. Pacino, De Niro. Let's see if you see De Niro. Nope. Anyway. So I was close to not doing it because this week, essentially, I pretty much didn't do much or nothing at all in regards to podcasts. I had to cancel a couple of podcasts and also screenings. And that really bummed me out because on Wednesday, I was supposed to see Studio 666, which is the Foo Fighters horror movie. I don't know if you heard of this. Dave Grohl, essentially, in the Foo Fighters, played versions of themselves in this horror comedy musical where Dave Grohl gets possessed by a demon and kills the rest of his bandmates. In the meanwhile, he's making this kind of thrash metal, death metal record, and they're going to release the record as well. So it's going to be a soundtrack to the movie. It kind of reminds me a bit, kind of like films like Tenacious D and The Pick of Destiny, kind of like in the vein of those sorts of movies. So that's what's happening there. So I couldn't go to that. And today I was supposed to see The Batman, and that really bummed me out that I couldn't watch that because, excuse me, as you can hear, I'm not 100%. I'll probably say I'm around 80 to 85% right now. I still have the COVID virus. So I've been stuck at home for the past week. So what I have been doing is watching a lot of films. I've actually uploaded a few podcasts I did last week. So let's go on to our next thing here. What's new on Matt's movie review? So unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to put any reviews up because writing's been kind of hard with the whole COVID situation. I'm being kind of very lethargic and tired, but I did manage actually to get some podcasts up that I did over the last week. Just waiting to get to my website. With about two very different films. So the first, I'm going to bring it up here. Share that screen. Go. All right. So the first podcast I put up, I believe it was on Monday or Tuesday, was with the director of Somewhere with No Bridges. His name is Charles Frank. It's actually available now on demand and digital. So people can check it out kind of like on iTunes and I think on Vimeo you can definitely rent it as well. I'm pretty sure that Amazon, other places as well have it for available for rental for purchase. It's a really wonderful documentary. Essentially, it's about it's almost kind of like a eulogy about one man, a fisherman in New England. Martha's Vineyard, New England. He went overboard over 20 years ago, and this documentary is done by his distant cousin, and he essentially talks to family and friends of this man that passed away, and just talked about who he was as a person and in what memories do they have of him. And it's just a really beautiful a documentary that delves into, grief and death and community and memory and family. I really enjoyed this film quite a bit. I think it goes just under an hour or just shy of an hour, but it holds quite a bit of emotional impact in there. In my conversation with Charles Frank, great young filmmaker. I think he's got a big future ahead of him if this documentary is anything to go by. I really recommend people check out my conversation with Charles Frank on the Matt's Movie Reviews podcast. As you can see down here, available on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Podbean as well. That's where I host my podcast. I actually got the Podbean player here. So I really recommend that people check out that conversation, plus another conversation of a new movie that came out this month. It's on Shudder, and I love Shudder. Anyone knows me knows that I love my horror films, and Shudder is one of my favorite streaming services right now. I absolutely love Shudder, and I just want to say that this movie, Hellbender, fantastic. It's kind of like a witch kind of folk horror movie, but set in modern day. It has like music kind of blended into it as well. So let's just backtrack a bit. It's directed by this family collective called the Addams family. And so there's like three of them. Zelda Adams, who we see pictured here, she's the main star of the movie Hellbender. We have her mother, I think it's Tara Posey is her name. She plays her mother in the film. And then there's, I'm pretty sure it's John Adams, and he's also a filmmaker. I think he appears in the movie in like in a very small supporting role. But essentially, they make movies together, they make art together, they make music together. And this movie is essentially about the character that Zelda Adams plays. I think her name is Izzy. Her mum has been kind of like shutting her out from the world. They live in kind of like in this very kind of rural farm in the Catskills in New York. And then one day, Izzy finds out that she actually comes from a long line of witches, and not any kind of witches, but really powerful, evil, man-eating, consuming witches. And so she pretty much embraces this dark side of her nature that her mother was trying to hide from her for all this time. It's a fantastic movie, like I said, available right now on Shudder. I spoke to Zelda Adams about her performance in the movie, and also how the whole kind of family collective of the Addams family kind of like work together to create films. And it's really interesting, just the way they go about making movies. And if their movies are going to be anything like Hellbender, I think that they're must-see filmmakers right there, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future, because Hellbender is a fantastic movie, one of my favorite horror movies of the year so far. So yeah, I could really recommend people, please do check out my interview with Zelda Adams on the Matt's Movie Reviews podcast. Like I said, it's available iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Podbean. Podbean's where I host my podcast, and also you got the Podbean player right here. You can just go right to my website, and I'll also place my stuff on YouTube and Facebook as well, so it's worth checking out. Now let's move on. So as a lot of you may know, I was talking about the last couple of episodes now, is that Matt's Movie Reviews and my writing and such. I'm a freelance film critic. I'm an entertainment journalist, but I also do this website. That's my bread and butter. So I'm just calling out for people out there that if you really want to help out my work and help out what I do with Matt's Movie Reviews, to check out my Patreon page. I got 2 patrons so far, and I thank you both very much to all those people who have joined up so far. But like I said before, I have rewards available for people who do join up for. It's like $3.50 a month. You can request movie reviews. You can request me to do top 10s for you. I'm actually working on a top 10 now. One of the requests my patrons are giving me. Hopefully I should have it up by the end of the month. You can, we do live Q&As. We do all sorts of stuff through my Patreon. But above all, if you want to support me and my work and the stuff that I do for my podcasts and the reviews and the video content as well, please check out my Patreon. right here. Actually, in the show notes, you'll find all the links to my Patreon page. And yeah, it will be awesome if you can really help me out, because it goes a long way to helping out writers like myself, especially in the movie critic sphere. I've been doing this for a long time. I think it's going to be 16 years this year. Still as competitive a marketplace as ever. So any type of leg up I can get is well worth it. All right, so let's move on now to some movie news. First up, let's talk about some current events. I don't want to get too political on this show, but this news was of real interest for me. So, Sean Penn on the ground in Ukraine filming documentary about Russia's invasion. You know, Sean Penn is a really interesting guy, isn't he? Fantastic actor, one of my favorite actors. I mean, the work that he's done, superb. I don't remember the last great movie he's done, but the movies that he has done in the past have been, there's fantastic performances there. Dead Man Walking and Mystic River and 21 Grams and, you know, so many others, State of Grace, you know, Carlito's Way, heaps of them. You know, but what kind of irks me about him in a certain way, and what I kind of find him to be very endearing about him at the same time, which is a kind of weird juxtaposition there, is that he's he can be, his political activism can be a little showboaty, I think. It's fantastic and it's fine that he wants to delve into humanitarian causes, that he wants to, you know, talk about political things and social things. You know, he's an American. It's a free country, expression of speech, freedom of speech, including political speech as well. That's absolutely fine. But what I find fascinating about Sean Penn is that wherever he is doing his kind of like his, you know, humanitarian political activism, there's also always a camera there with him. I find that very strange and odd indeed. I don't know if you guys remember back when Hurricane Katrina happened, all the way back in the early 2000s, he was out there in the waters of, you know, Louisiana with a boat, you know, saving people from the river. Good on him, you know. But he had someone taking photos of him while he was doing it. When Haiti had that big earthquake, he went over there. He set up tents. He set up medical aid. But he had a documentary crew with him following him around, capturing him in all his kind of like in all his glory. And funny enough, I saw a movie last year. It was called Citizen Penn, and it kind of like it followed Sean Penn over to Haiti and looked at his humanitarian efforts and such. Here we go. Comments. Spam. Anyway, blocked. But you know, and here we are again with Ukraine. I mean, he's over there for Vice Studios filming the documentary. He's talking to the president of Ukraine. He's amongst the press corps, etc. I'm just trying to figure out what the end game is for him with this, kind of like what's going on over there. It's a terrible situation, the whole kind of Russia invasion of Ukraine. The amount of people have been killed and missiles launched and properties and houses lost. And then this Hollywood guy's over there, he's filming it, and I'm sure they're going to release a documentary. And like I said, he means well. It's just that it just feels like he's exploiting the situation. And it's not the first time that he's done this. You know, he's got a big heart. He's got big balls as well, to tell you the truth. He puts himself out there and he does this stuff. But he's got a big ego. Really big ego. And I think sometimes it's really hard to not be cynical when you see, you know, him do all of this. You know, it's really interesting. I'm going to bring up a different article here that I found was from back in 2016. Do I have it? Here we go. I think it was from the Washington Post. Yep. A history of Sean Penn's curious habit of inserting himself into international controversy. And this was back in 2016. He's still doing it. I don't know if you remember back when the of the whole Iraq war and the weapons of mass destruction thing. He was over there in Iraq writing something. I forgot whether it was for Time magazine or New York Times. I forgot what publication it was. And funny enough, when Team America, that movie came out by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, when he was lampooned in that as kind of like this ego-seeking kind of like a guy, he got really upset about it and wrote a letter to them in regards to that. Don't forget the El Chapo controversy there as well. He interviewed the infamous drug kingpin. I think he just escaped from jail as well, and just funny. Deb has a question. Do I wonder you do wonder the motives, but I wonder if it is his ego. Perhaps he thinks it helped more than we start out showing a light on what's going on. I do I'm cynical too. I think it's a little bit of both, Deb. I think he thinks he can help. I do think he can help. I think that it's really important that people in his position with the money and the resources that he has can help. I mean, look at the whole situation over in Haiti, for example. He's over there doing stuff, and he's not one for bureaucracy. Sean Penn, he really wants, to get things done, and he'll do it because, he's a Hollywood player and he gets his way all the time. So I'm sure when it comes to his charitable endeavors, he's not one for the mawkish. He's going to be, out there doing what he can. But when I saw this whole thing with the Ukraine and he was doing a documentary, I just can't help but be cynical as well, because it's one thing where you're very charitable. It's another thing where you have a camera following around doing everything that you do, and then you later package that into some type of content, documentary or whatever, and then you release that, and then what? I'm cynical about it as well. At the same time, though, I kind of admire the guy about it. I'm on two fences here. It is interesting. When I watched that Citizen Penn documentary that came out last year, I found myself in more of admiration of him than anything else, because he did go to Haiti and he did do all those great things over there and got medical supplies, etc. But then you forget that, he was butting up to Castro, and then he had all that thing with that bloke in Venezuela as well. What was the guy's name? The president over there who passed away not long ago. Here we go. Why am I not thinking about the guy? Okay, Hugo Chavez. So he went over to Venezuela and became really close friends with Hugo Chavez, and still to this day, he really talks up that guy as a leader and a man. The dude was a bona fide tyrant and a dictator. You ask any Venezuelan person, they will tell you outright that he was not a very liked person. And you ask anyone who deals with politics and international politics, and they'll tell you that he was definitely a dictator. But Sean Penn stood up for him. So at one point, I dig what he does. I really think it's important that you do have people go out there and put their money where their mouth is and help any way that they can. But on the other hand, dude, just leave the cameras at home. I mean, what are you going to do over there in Ukraine right now that no one else isn't covering? I know you're doing it for Vice Studios. I mean, what's the point right now? What's the end game here? I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's, I don't know. Aren't there journalists out there that need to do this stuff? I remember when the whole kind of El Chapo thing happened, even when the whole thing with Iraq war happened, and he went over there and is looking for these weapons of mass destruction, a lot of people were wondering the same thing. Aren't there journalists that do this? Isn't there people in these positions that should be able to go out there and do this? Or because he has the star power, is he able to get access that other journalists can't? I don't know. I'm not sure. But it's definitely something worth to keep an eye on right here. That's for sure. Sean Penn in the Ukraine. Very interesting. Now let's go to this other bit of movie news. So Mad Max Fury Road. A lot of people love this movie. Let me just bring up. Here we go. Here we go. All right, so here we go, the headline from The Guardian. Charlize Theron felt so threatened by Tom Hardy making Mad Max she required on-set protection. A new book details allegations of unprofessional behavior and aggression during making of George Miller's 2015 blockbuster Mad Max Fury Road. So essentially what's happening out there, guys, is that there's this book that's out now, or a book that's about to come out, and it's called Blood, Sweat, and Chrome: The Wild and True Story of Mad Max Fury Road. It's written by Kyle Buchanan. The name sounds familiar. I think he might be a film critic and a film journalist. I'm pretty sure, but not 100%. Anyway, so a lot of people were already talking about how Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron just did not get along whatsoever on the set of Mad Max Fury Road. They come from different disciplines of acting. Tom Hardy's a very much a method kind of guy. Charlize Theron not so much in that kind of headspace when it comes to acting. And also it comes down to the fact that this was like the biggest role in Tom Hardy's career up to that point. I mean, he's been the leading man in movies. He's done things, but this was like a huge kind of blockbuster kind of deal. And not only that, he's like replacing one of the biggest movie stars of all time in Mel Gibson in his signature role in this movie. And I liked Mad Max Fury Road, but the thing that I kind of didn't like about it is that it didn't really feel like a Mad Max movie. It felt like the Furiosa movie. And maybe that's something that rubbed Tom Hardy the wrong way as well. I don't know. But regardless, so pretty much what the book alleges, well, not even alleges. I mean, there's interviews with Charlize Theron herself, with other cast and crew, including Nicholas Hoult. And they're pretty much all saying that Charlize Theron was a professional through and through, always on time, always on the set, where Tom Hardy was not very professional in any way. And I think finally that rubbed Charlize Theron the wrong way. And at one point, there was actually an altercation between the two. So let's see. Okay, in one instance, Hardy was due on set at 8 a.m. along with the rest of the cast and crew required that day. They included Theron, then a new mother whose baby was in childcare nearby while she worked. Despite producers having made a special request for Hardy to be punctual, he was more than 3 hours late, during which time Theron remained in position ready to shoot. When Hardy finally arrived, Theron said, "Hardy, how disrespectful are you?" And said the producers, they should find it. I'm not going to swear because I don't know what the kind of on YouTube, what type of how I might get in trouble. But they find the F and C, as in the see you next Tuesday. Very strong language. Should fine him $100,000 for every minute that he's held up his crew. Hardy responded by charging up to her and saying, "What did you say to me?" Hardy seemed quite aggressive, and that Theron felt threatened. That was the turning point, because then she said, "I want someone as protection." So essentially afterwards, they got some type of female producer on set to be a protector, or kind of like a buffer between her and Tom Hardy. Now, there's some thoughts about this. Number one, the whole thing that Tom Hardy did there wasn't cool. It just wasn't. There is professionalism that is expected, between actors, especially like a big time actor like Charlize Theron. She's an Oscar winner. She's been in like big movies before this. She's on the set. She's doing everything. And there's a cast and crew there. They're filming in really rough conditions as well. And for him to act that way is just really rude. He's not the first guy to have done that, though. I'm sure of it. I'm sure there's been a lot of actors who like to take their time and let their ego kind of like take over and such. However, there's another point to this that a lot of people were kind of missing out on. A lot of people were talking about the aggressive behavior of Tom Hardy towards Charlize Theron, to the point where she needed protection. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if anyone called me an F and C, I'll be charging up to them as well, man or woman, and I'll say to them, "What the hell did you just say to me?" Now, I wouldn't get violent, but I'll be pretty pissed off. And Tom Hardy, by all indications, if his movies are anything to go by, doesn't seem like the kind of guy you'll want to piss off. Doesn't seem like the type of guy you want to give that kind of language to. let alone any other actor. Okay, I mean, if you're gonna use like words like that against anyone in any type of profession, you're gonna respect the response. And he gave a big response back to her. Now she shit herself pretty much, and then she's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! Okay, I'm gonna need protection here." But she did mouth up to him as well. Now look, and to go back to my initial point, he's been a bit of an ass. He just is. I mean, the way that he behaved, and later he will go on to say, the quotes down here. Let's see. Okay, Hardy responded by saying he was over my head in many ways. The pressure on both of us was overwhelming at times. What she needed was a better, perhaps more experienced partner in me. That's something that can't be faked. I like to think that now that I'm older and uglier, I could rise to that occasion. But essentially what he's saying is that he wasn't mature enough at that time to deal with that role, to deal with the pressure of that role, and to take on that role in such a big blockbuster movie. Which is kind of interesting because he did Dark Knight Rises beforehand. He played Bane. I mean, he wasn't the leading actor in it, but that was a huge freaking movie. So yeah, I mean, he did do some big things before that, but clearly, the tension between the two really led to some ugly altercations on the set. And I think like my bottom line in regards to this is yes, Tom Hardy acted like a goose. He really did. But at the same time, Charlize Theron put out some really strong language towards him. So she shouldn't be surprised that he will come up to her and pretty much, confront her and say, how don't talk to me that way again. And she needed protection afterwards because of it. It sucks that she had to feel that way. But next time, maybe don't mouth off like that, especially against someone like Tom Hardy, because he seems like a kind of a bulldog of a guy. And if his attitude on set was anything to go by, he's a very stubborn and egotistical man as well. So maybe not the type of guy you would, drop those kind of words to. Either way, I think the friction between them make for a really good tension during the movie. I mean, Fury Road's a fantastic film. Not my favorite Mad Max movie. Road Warrior is my favorite Mad Max movie. Another thing about when I was reading this article is that I kind of wish that Mel Gibson played the Mad Max character. I think that if they were going to have someone like Charlize Theron overshadow the Mad Max character, like Furiosa overshadow, maybe they should have done a passing of the guard picture. Maybe that would have been a good time for them to kill off the Mad Max character and then have him kind of pass the torch on the Furiosa, and then she could be the person who takes on the rest of the franchise. Lost opportunity, I think. They are making another Mad Max movie. I think it's going to be a Furiosa prequel with Anya Taylor-Joy. And I think Chris Hemsworth, all rumors is that he's going to play the villain in it. George Miller's going to direct it. They're going to film it in Australia. So, yeah, interesting to see. Let me have a sip of this. Chamomile tea with honey. Can't beat it for a sore throat. But yeah, that's really interesting. I'll be interested to read that book when it comes out. Hopefully, I could be able to get Carl Buchanan on the show and maybe interview him as well. We'll see. All right, now I want to talk to you guys about one of my affiliates. So let me do something here. All right, one of my affiliates. Let me just put the share screen up. 80s Tees, one of my favorite places to shop and find shirts. So this is, like I said, one of my affiliates that I have on the Matt's Movie Reviews podcast and YouTube and website as well. Essentially, you buy from them and a bit of that money comes towards me in a long way. Let me click on this, and it goes a long way to helping me out, put a roof over my head and money in the coffers and support myself, as an entertainment writer and film critic. 80s Tees is an online retailer of licensed T-shirts and pop culture gear for your favorite movies, TV shows, cartoons, video games, comic books, and musicians. Like you see here, there's lots of cool stuff here. In fact, I'm going to check out if they have anything cool here. Let's check out 70s movies and TV shows. So it looks like it's more than 70s movies. They got like stuff from the 2000s and 90s as well. That's pretty cool. Pink Ladies, awesome. What they got here? Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I love the bio shirt like that, but I'll probably freak my kids out. Godfather, Texas Chainsaw. Anyone out there actually watch the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix? I'm only like halfway through and I'm kind of so-so with it so far. Oh, the Exorcist t-shirt. Jumper. Woody. That's awesome. Everyone knows how much I love The Exorcist. So last time I checked, I had an affiliate code. Let me check if it works here. So the code last time I remember was MMR. Let me check if it still works. If it doesn't, I need to get back to the guys at 80s Tees and get all that sorted. So anyway, like one of my favorite places, that's where I got this Wild Stallions shirt as well. Let me just check if MMR works. Let's check it out. Right, let me go there. Yeah. Here we go. MMR. Why? Ooh. All right. I got to double get on top of that. Anyway, 80s Tees. I really wish you guys could check this place out. Got great shirts, great everything over there. And also it helps me out at the end of the day. So every week on the Matt's Movie Reviews live show, I've been doing trailer reactions to the latest trailers. So the first week I did a trailer reaction to Father Stew, which was the new movie that's going to release in April, I think, starring Mark Wahlberg and Mel Gibson. And last week I did a trailer reaction to the new Elvis movie, the Baz Luhrmann Elvis movie that starred Austin Butler and also starred Tom Hanks. So the reactions to those, you can see them on my Facebook, on my YouTube page right now. I'm going to put them up on Facebook as well, so I'm going to make separate clips for them. So tonight I'm going to do a movie called The Contractor. So this is a film that stars, let me bring this up here. Let's see, we've got Chris Pine and Ben Foster. I haven't watched this trailer yet, so just be fresh for me as it is for you. It's also got Gillian Jacobs, who else? Kiefer Sutherland, Eddie Marsan. Yeah, cool cast. Ben Foster, one of my favorite actors. I like Chris Pine as a leading man as well. Directed by Tariq Saleh. What else has he done? Okay. Trapia. Nothing here. He's done some TV with Westfield and Ray Donovan. The Niall Hilton incident. What's that now? A maid witnesses a murder at an upscale hotel and a policeman is assigned to the case, but it soon becomes clear. Don't know anything about that. Anyway, so The Contractor, new film starring Chris Pine and Ben Foster. This is going to be the first time I'm going to see this trailer, and I want to watch it with you guys. And what I'm going to do while we're watching it is that I'm going to pause through it and make some comments, etc. That's just the way I do things. I don't like to watch the whole thing through and then talk about it at the end. We'll talk about a little bit of the cast and what I see, any type of impressions that I have. Also, you can actually find the trailer itself at the Matt's Movie Reviews YouTube channel. Maybe you're watching this through the Matt's Movie Reviews YouTube channel right now. If you are, you haven't subscribed, please do. If you help me get up to 1,000 subscriptions, it really helps a long way in getting money from AdSense revenue. So everything regards to affiliates, to Patreon, to subscribing to me on YouTube and Facebook as well. If you're watching on Facebook, you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. So what we're going to do right now, I'm going to press play. We're going to check out this trailer for The Contractor. Let's check it out.
Did you young Tracy my dad's wife?
Yes. We looked after each other.
All right, let's start it again.
What's a soldier? You're my dad.
Come on, let's go.
Did you young Tracy my dad's wife?
Yes. We looked after each other.
Kind of like brothers.
Yeah, kind of like.
Again. So when I hear that rain, by the way, raining all week here in Sydney. Pretty much drowning. All right, so might as well just pause there. So Chris Pine and Ben Foster. Have any of you guys seen Hell or High Water? Fantastic movie. Stars both of them as well. They're brothers in that movie. Also had Jeff Bridges in it. It was written by Taylor Sheridan, who a lot of people know now as the guy who created Yellowstone, but he's also done scripts for Sicario and he directed Wind River, which is one of my favorite films of that year. They are great together on screen, or they were at least when I saw him in Hell or High Water. Ben Foster's one of those actors that no matter what I see him in, it's very rare that he doesn't put in a great performance. He's one of those guys who kind of elevates the films that he's in. Hell or High Water, he was fantastic. He should receive an Oscar nomination or Oscar win for that, by the way, for supporting actor. Fantastic in 3:10 to Yuma. One of my favorite films of his was one of his first films that he did called Liberty Heights back in, I think it was 1999 that came out. It's directed by Barry Levinson. If you haven't seen that, it's really cool if you like kind of like your films that are set like in the 60s based movies. So far I like the casting. So let's check it out.
Kind of like brothers.
Yeah, kind of like brothers.
I apologize for this. The internet sometimes not the best.
James, clean your house. You're leaving the Army with an honorable discharge, but you're losing your pension and health care.
We gave them our minds, our bodies, and our spirit. They chewed us up and spit us out.
I just want to check in with y'all on your past due payments.
Message deleted.
Would you?
Excuse me. It's good old Kiefer.
Get in uniform, sledgehammer shit. Our thing, scalpel works. We operate in a deep black OGA offshoot with direct presidential authority.
Bank some decent cash, put a down payment on the house. That's not dangerous.
Now I know you're lying.
Maybe I need to take care of my family. So what do you say? You down for the cause? Yeah.
So I'm going to guess right off straight away that Kiefer Sutherland is going to be a villain of some sort. He usually is and is really good at it. Much like his father, Donald Sutherland, the great Donald Sutherland. There's something about the Sutherland guys, boys, that work really well as villains. So I have a feeling it might be the same here. It's interesting to see him in the movies again. I think he's been a TV star for such a long time. You kind of forget that for throughout the 80s and like a lot of the 90s as well, he was a big screen presence. A very underrated actor, I think, as well. So it's good to see him in a big movie again.
Salim Mohammed Mosif studied pathogenic influenza viruses in humans. They don't know what one motivated radical could do. So let's cowboy up, get down and get home to our families.
You don't understand what you're doing. I'm trying to save lives. This is only about money. What do we do, Mike?
I've got an extraction team from BMW X1. Comply.
We'll do that when you confirm who you're working for. You work for me.
You gotta trust me. I am trying to help you. Oh, we're working for the
It's interesting to see Kiefer Sutherland being on the other end of the telephone. 24, of course, he was getting, the instructions from the other end. He was kind of like playing what the character Chris Pine is playing here. This movie, the kind of the tone and the look of it, and I imagine it's because it has to do with Paramount Pictures. Reminds me of when Chris Pine played the Jack Ryan character. I think it was back in 2015, 2016, might be a little earlier. I'm not 100%. So he did the Jack Ryan movie. It was directed by Kenneth Branagh, and it had Keira Knightley in it as well. Branagh was in the film as well as a evil Russian, which is funny considering what's going on now. And I actually thought he was really good in the role. Kevin Costner was in the movie too. I think he played a really good Jack Ryan, but the movie, just didn't make money, so they didn't make sequels. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe this film might be some of an offshoot from it. I'm not certain if it's based on a book or anything. Quite possibly could be. Let's just have a look over here. No, it's an original screenplay. Could have been like a Jack Ryan concept, but just didn't work out. And now John Krasinski's playing Jack Ryan in the TV show. So yeah. I'm getting very much that Jack Ryan kind of vibe to it, but let's keep going.
Give me a car.
They train us to run their errands, kill their enemies, and kill each other. It's easy to kill, but it's much harder to survive. Need to get back home. Own the memory.
He's gonna come after you with everything he's got.
You gotta love those lines in action movies where it's kind of like the lone warrior versus the world. There's always that one guy, kind of like the Colonel, what's his name in the Rambo movies, played by Richard Crenna. Anyway, it's always that one dude in those action films that's always like, you don't understand. He's going to come after you, everything that he's got, and he's going to kill all of you. He's got this, and he's done that, and he's, survived here, and he's endured this, and he's capable of that. It's funny. It's the same thing that's lasted from like the early 80s up to here we are now, like almost 30, 40 years later. And I hope it never goes away. I enjoy it. Let's keep going.
I'm going home.
All right. Cool. Okay, in theaters and on digital April 1st. I'm pretty sure I got an email to review this. I'm going to have to look at my emails and try to get a review, and maybe I could try to interview the director as well. As you know, from the Matt's Movie Reviews podcast, I interview directors every week. Couldn't do anything this week because of the whole COVID situation, but speaking of which, right on cue. But yeah, I'm hoping that next week I can definitely get some more podcasts up and running. I think it's overdue. All right, so let's talk about another one of my affiliates, I should say, and that's Loot Crate. So let me just share the screen here. Here we go. Oh, cool. Check out that Suicide Squad action figure. It's awesome. So, Loot Crate. Bring this in here. So, Loot Crate, founded in 2012. Loot Crate is the worldwide leader in fan subscription boxes. Loot Crate partners with industry leaders in entertainment, gaming, sport, and pop culture to deliver monthly themed crates, produce interactive experiences and digital content, and film video productions. No matter what you geek out about, Loot Crate has a subscription box for you. So essentially, you look here, and they got different boxes that are themed, and you pay for a monthly subscription, and you get new stuff every month. And I think it's a really cool idea. It's a really cool site. If you're like me, you like to grab all the type of merch, the shirts and the cup, etc. This is exactly, up your alley. Yeah, I'm going to go back to that. Where was it? That King Shark figure. Where was it? Right there. That's awesome. 6 inches tall, 4 points articulation, removable base. I love it. Yeah, I didn't mind that Suicide Squad movie. I don't know if any of you guys watched it, but I thought it was pretty cool. So yeah, Loot Crate, another one of the affiliates. So there's many ways you can help me out with my work on Matt's Movie Reviews. Patreon, you can become a patron. 80s Tees, you can buy something from there. Loot Crate, buy something there. I've got other affiliates as well, Voodoo and a bunch of others as well. And I'm constantly posting about and then featuring their ads on my website. So on the show notes of this show, you can actually find links to all of my affiliates and to my Patreon page as well, and also to my other parts of social media. If you are here on YouTube, you haven't subscribed yet, please do. If you're on Facebook, you haven't subscribed yet, please do. All of it goes a long way. So what's coming up for Matt's Movie Review? So next week's going to be all about Batman. So I'm working on getting a lot of Batman content up next week leading up to the movie. I couldn't see the film today. Like I said, I got COVID. I couldn't go to the screening, and I'm still fuming about it. But I am going to the premiere. I think it's next Tuesday night. I should get done that content, Batman content, a little quicker, I think. Yes, maybe I should get started stuff tonight. I've got some freelance stuff. I'm also writing these days for Collider. Doing freelance stuff for them, and going to start writing for Joe Blow, some stuff there, and hopefully some other stuff. So busy days ahead for me. Hopefully I'm going to get over this COVID stuff. Like I said, right now I'm kind of like 80-85%. Hopefully the next couple of days, back to normal, back to full strength, and be able to do more work and get more content up for you guys to read, listen to, and to watch as well. And speaking of which, I thank you so very much for everyone who watched the Matt's Movie Reviews live show tonight. It's my third show. I'm still working through the formula of it, the kinks. This is something that's very new to me, but I do appreciate all of you checking it out. So be sure to check out every Friday, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. I'm thinking I might change the time in the future, so more of my viewers from the States can watch this as well. So if I do, I'll let you know straight away. Until then, though, thank you so very much for joining me. And I'll see you all on the internet. Check out my content. I'm going to have some more stuff up there soon. Bye.